Moon exploration enabled us to confirm that lunar rocks differ chemically from Earth rocks. Through study of lunar rocks' radioactive decay, researchers discovered that the Moon is in fact nearly 100 million years younger than the Earth. In the 1990s, a theory explaining the Moon's existence gained wide acceptance in the scientific community. According to this theory, an object the size of Mars crashed into the newly forming Earth about 4.5 billion years ago. Most of the object's mass was absorbed by the Earth, but this collision also sent up a huge cloud of dust and rocky fragments all around the Earth. In time, gravity pulled those fragments together into one solid body, the Moon. The Earth, meanwhile, lost its entire atmosphere, and a new, much thinner one began to form from gases released by Earth's crustal material. Such a collision may seem a disaster, but it proved just the opposite. It set in motion certain alterations to Earth's features that eventually made this planet a uniquely suitable site for life. The odds against a collision benefiting the eventual support of human life are staggering. The planet colliding with the Earth would need to be the right size, moving at the right velocity, striking at the right angle, made of the right materials, and occurring at the right time in the development of planet Earth. If any one of these factors were off by just a few percent, the Earth would be barren today. Unless that impact had occurred, Earth's atmosphere would be much heavier than it is, even heavier than that of our neighboring planet, Venus. Venus's thick carbon dioxide-filled atmosphere would mean instant death for all possible life. The extra mass Earth gained from the collision, along with its atmospheric revision, meant that water could exist on Earth in all three states: ice, liquid, and vapor. Well, a couple of decades ago, if you'd asked me, what is it special about the Moon that makes life possible on planet Earth, I would have told you that through Newton's laws of motion, we recognize that this unique circumstance of a small planet orbited by a close-in gigantic moon stabilizes the tilt of Earth's rotation axis. All the other planets in our solar system have rotation axes that flip up and back like this, but planet Earth remains stable, a critical feature for advanced life on planet Earth. And what this video clip demonstrates is that with new technology and new discoveries, we're able to examine the properties of the Moon in more detail and discover much more fine-tuning design than what we knew about before. And this enables us to develop a test for creation-evolution models. And if it turns out that no creator is the answer, supposing the atheists and agnostics are right, that there's no creator responsible for any of these features, then we would anticipate that as astronomers learn more about the universe and the solar system, that the evidences for divine design would decrease in number and would decrease in potency. And the evidence that the God of the Bible is the designer of the universe for the benefit of humanity would get progressively weaker and weaker as we learn more and more about the universe and the solar system. But what if we're right, that there really is a creator, and it's the creator God of the Bible? Then we would anticipate that as we learn more and more about the physics of the universe, that the divine design evidences would increase in strength and number, and that evidence that Jesus Christ, the God of the Bible, is a designer of the universe and the solar system for the benefit of human life would get progressively stronger and stronger. Now, one of the things we document in creation and science is we give you a table that shows you how the evidence has been getting progressively stronger and stronger for the biblical explanation of creation. And you also see this posted on our reasons.org website. And just to give you a quick example, In May of 2002, our scientific team at Reasons to Believe had gone through the scientific literature and found in that published literature 202 different characteristics of the solar system that must be fine-tuned to make advanced life possible here on planet Earth. And accounting for dependency factors and the fact that the universe could conceivably contain as many as 10 billion trillion planets, the probability that you would find one body in the universe with the capacity to support advanced life, less than one chance in 10 to the 217. 217 zeros after the 1. Now that was May of 2002. Let's jump forward 30 months, 2.5 years, to November of 2004. Now, instead of just 202 characteristics in the scientific literature, we find 437. Astronomy is a discipline where the knowledge base doubles about every 4 years. So in 2.5 years, we've been able to add to those 202 characteristics 235 more. And in counting for dependency factors and the maximum number of planets that the universe could conceivably contain, the probability of finding one body anywhere in the observable universe with a capacity to support advanced life is now just 1 part in 10 to the 410. But if we compare this 1 part in 10 to the 410 with 1 part in 10 to the 217, what we note is that very conservatively, the evidence that the God of the Bible has shaped and designed the solar system and our planet for the benefit of physical life, advanced life in particular, gets 1,000,000 times stronger every month. Which means we can tell the skeptics, if you're not convinced today, wait 1 month. In a month, I'm confident that the evidence will get approximately 1,000,000 times stronger than it is today. And this is a story we've laid out in some detail in our book, The Creator and the Cosmos, which talks about the latest scientific evidence for the transcendence of the Creator and his personal attributes in designing the universe for the benefit of the human life. But I want to transition now from the simple sciences to the slightly more complex sciences. I want to address the origin of life. And often people, when we talk about creation evolution, they want to talk about the fossil record and all of its complexities, but really the simplest problem to deal with in the history of life on planet Earth is the beginning of life. And so this is a theme that we took up in our book, Origins of Life. And what I want to address in just a couple of minutes here are 3 major paradoxes from a naturalistic perspective for the origin of life. There are many more than these 3, but these are 3 that I think are simple to understand. I had the privilege of taking a course at the graduate level from Carl Sagan. And in that course, he said, this is how life arises. We have this vast primordial soup here on planet Earth. And this primordial soup, this soup filled with prebiotic molecules, percolates for 1 billion years. And with all of these molecules in this vast soup and that huge amount of time, then it's inevitable that through natural process, these molecules will assemble themselves into a simple life form from which we all evolved. That's the Carl Sagan story, or answer to the origin of life. However, that was 30 years ago. We now know a lot more about the history of the Earth than we knew back then. And we now recognize that instead of 1 billion years for the origin of life, it's much briefer than that. It's really just a geologic instant. And what we've been able to discover through the Apollo research program on the moon, where they brought back lunar rocks, and through detailed computer modeling of the asteroid belts in our solar system, is that 3.85 billion years ago, the entire inner solar system, including planet Earth, was pelted by gigantic comets and asteroids. Pelted to such a degree that the entire surface of planet Earth was turned into molten lava, at least 200 kilometers deep and at least 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. Now, those conditions obviously would destroy any prebiotic molecules. And yet what we note is that just 50 million years later, we have chemical evidence for an abundance of life here on planet Earth. We get that evidence for looking at carbon-12 to carbon-13 ratio analysis. And it tells us that in Earth's oldest rocks, which date to 3.80 billion years ago, we find an abundance for the chemical signature, the carbon signature of living systems. Namely that life prefers carbon-12. And so if you see a higher ratio of carbon-12 to carbon-13, that means that carbon has been processed by life, and it's that kind of evidence that tells us life has been abundant on planet Earth as far back as 3.80 billion years ago.